Welcome to another episode of the Palace Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television.
All right. We're off to a rough start, just like the Chicago Bears.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know what's going on with the audio. I'm hoping that is not an issue on your guys' end. It was kind of cutting in and out, but hey, it happens to the best of us. It happens to the pros. I watched the CHGO podcast after the game, and they literally didn't have their microphones on for a good 3 to 5 minutes.
I think the Bears are breaking us all.
That's right.
That's what I think it is.
We're all just dying inside.
But before we go too far, they can't break us this much. It's a Palace Huddle episode. So what do we do?
Huddle up!
We're still bringing it, man.
That's right.
We're still bringing it. And
That's
speaking of episodes, it's episode 65.
Cody Whitehair, yeah.
No. And if it was, we'd have to both do the episode laying on our backs with our feet in the air, which I don't want to make that, the experience of our viewers. So I quickly had to look up 65s. A few of these, oh man, you know what?
We're bad because one should stand out.
I'm ashamed.
No, it's not. I was thinking Owen, but he's
57. I'm ashamed.
Is it Roberto Garza?
No, he was 63, I believe.
Okay.
I'm ashamed, but let's just go through a few. This one for name purposes only, from 1967 to 1974, Randy Jackson.
Okay.
I like that name.
Kind of like Randy Johnson.
Well, there is a Randy Jackson, the host or.
Oh yeah, the guy from American Idol.
Yeah.
Dog, right? He always says dog.
Yeah. So here's one we should have known, I think. Patrick Omame. Does that ring a bell? Or okay, he played on the 2015 Bears.
Okay.
But the one I'm actually ashamed about, and I could make it a trivia question, but it's like the easiest trivia question in Bears history. Which Chicago Bear played the most games as a Chicago Bear?
Which Chicago Bear played the
most games played all time? And wore number 65.
I'm blanking.
Oh, shame on you.
I failed at Chicago Bears trivia. Take my Bears card away.
This might be the end of the episode, people. Like, if I say this, you can decide if the episode's over.
All right.
Patrick Manley.
Oh, God. Seriously. Oh, man.
I'm ashamed of both of us.
Ashamed.
But it seems like him and Whitehair would have overlapped.
Yeah.
But it says Manley played from 1998 to 2013.
Patrick Scales is probably getting pretty close to catching him.
Really?
He's been around for quite a while, too.
I'm surprised 2013. It seems like he's been on the team more recent than that.
And then he went right into the transition into media. Yeah. So, we're still hearing him on a constant basis.
This is just signs of getting old.
Yeah.
I feel like Patrick
40
Manley
in a couple weeks, guys.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
I'm already there.
As always, I'm Rob Schwartz with Bear Goggles On. Joined with me is my good buddy and co-host Justin Onayemi. And we got a lot to talk about tonight.
And not a lot of it is about the Sunday night game against the Chargers.
No, this is not a post-game episode, guys, because
it's a post-season episode.
Pretty much.
Man. Do you want to say anything?
There's some things. So Tyson Bagent, everyone who was on the quarterback controversy, I hope you've kind of come back down to realization that it's a great storyline. I have nothing against Tyson Bagent. I'm not going to even put a ceiling on him. He could become the next Tom Brady. Okay? I'm going to say it because I don't want to put a ceiling on anybody.
I think you just put a ceiling, but it's the
It's
the sky.
You're saying he's gonna
that Jordan quote. The ceiling is the roof.
That's right. But right now, he is a backup quarterback, and that's okay.
Very inexperienced one.
There's nothing wrong with that. Inexperienced NFL, experience outside of.
Yes,
But there's nothing wrong with him being a backup quarterback.
Nope.
At this point, no one thought he would jump up this quickly. That's fantastic. So let's stop being so. It has to be one way or the other. I don't understand it.
I don't know where our episode's going to go in every single twist and turn that's coming. But
I'm leaving.
If you want to describe anything as a quarterback controversy, it might be how they're handling the Justin Fields injury. But let's get into that more in the big picture conversation.
Okay.
Let's keep talking about the game.
Yeah. Okay. So the game, Tyson Bagent struggled. I did not see enough. Luke Getsy struggled, in my opinion.
First play of the game, they throw deep to Mooney.
Yeah.
And last game, famously, Bagent barely threw the ball downfield.
Correct.
So was that them just saying, oh, it's there? Or,
Yep.
oh, we're going to try it?
That's what it was.
And
I was
bold.
perfectly okay with it.
It was bold. He caught the ball. He wasn't tackled at all. He should have got his butt up and ran into the end zone. They'd be up 7-0. Instead, he kind of like looks around, and then the refs look around and blow the whistle. But the ref that was right by the play was ready to let it go, which is what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
If you're not sure. Then later they blew one dead that they definitely shouldn't have. It was a lot of weird ref stuff, but they did not lose because of that. It just made it an already hard product to watch even harder.
Yeah, there was a screenplay or not a screenplay. Maybe it was kind of like a screenplay to Cole Kmet, which he was the subject to the second blown dead whistle.
Yeah.
But where he got hit like kind of hard, almost looked like he kind of took a shot at his knees, but then he kind of just like bounced off and gained another 7 yards. And I made the joke like, I'm surprised they didn't blow the whistle as soon as he got hit.
Exactly.
Because that just seemed to be what they were doing. The refs had a rough game.
It was a bad game for refs.
It was a bad game for them. It was a bad NBC coverage, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Partly because of the Tyson Bagent stuff.
Yeah.
It was just awkward. Collinsworth, like, basically talking about how Justin Fields should be watching Tyson Bagent and the things that he's doing, and he should be learning from him. And
I don't know. People get bothered he's wearing sunglasses. I'm just like, stop analyzing every little thing. There's some stuff we can talk about with Fields. But I'll just mention a play that was frustrating to me. And kind of when you combine it with the Mooney play that not only did not lead to a touchdown on that very play, they didn't even get points on that drive.
Right.
You had a 41-yard play on the first play of the game that should have been 75, and you don't even end up with points. But then
not only
Chargers
points,
scored.
they didn't even get another first down.
No, they ended up getting sacked back to the 50 and having to punt.
Correct. They were in field goal range.
And I think that was the punt where Velus Jones ran into their fair catch guy.
Okay.
So you would have started them at the 15. Yeah. Instead, they started at the 45.
Yep.
I know it only goes in as a 15-yard penalty. It netted 30 yards of a difference. And I don't even know if it was that punt or a different one. But, oh, shoot, where was it? Oh, the play where they scored their first touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
They do a little screen basically to Eckler. Eckler is a great player.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. But TJ Edwards gave one of the worst efforts I've seen from a player who's played well this season and actually played well the remainder of the game. But I can't forgive him for that effort.
Mm-hmm. And
it left up 7. So you blow your chance, and then you let them come in and score like that. The game was basically over right then.
Yeah.
But sloppy, penalties, Velus. I mean, I'm just going to say words now, but everyone who watched that game knows what all of those things mean.
So that ball was underthrown.
I don't care.
Tyson Bagent
Super
underthrew
catchable.
that ball. Causes Velus to kind of have to adjust his route. You can't fall. Like, you're an NFL wide receiver. It is your job to be athletic.
When you were saying what you were saying, I was going to say, and after all that, would an average receiver still have caught that ball?
Dante Pettis catches that ball.
No, man. No, you do not have my support on that statement.
No, because we saw him drop many last year.
But he didn't make the team.
That's right.
And Velus could have not made this team based on how they're using him.
We cut him.
We cut him.
Yeah.
Keep Fountain.
Yeah.
And still sign Taylor.
Who, by the way, has defended Justin Fields publicly. So.
Well, we'll get into Fields soon. I don't know. You got much more in the game?
My whole thing was I felt like the game plan should have been a lot of wide receiver running back screens with a little bit of tight end screens paired in there. I am not a big screen guy. I think they work in certain situations. I think you should run at least a handful a game, but I was expecting it to be hot and heavy. Like we've seen the beginning of the year when it wasn't working on teams that are good at stopping it. The Colts, the Chargers are literally the worst team at stopping those types of plays, and they hardly did it. Instead, it was these like out routes, like to the out to the boundary, like little comebacks, and eventually
doesn't have the arm for that.
He doesn't have. He has a quick release,
yes,
but he doesn't have the oomph
on
to get
4th
it there
and
fast.
3. He tried to throw one across the field. It was a 3-yard route,
yes,
and it was like a 25-yard throw.
Yes,
it's not going to work. That was a terrible call.
And at some point, because they were working at times,
yeah,
and he does have good accuracy,
yes.
But what ends up happening is it's so scripted and so telegraphed that you are going to, as a corner, eventually jump those routes. And that's what we saw. We saw Sam almost get the one, and then he gets the other one.
And if you don't pivot it to a double move every once in a while,
right,
then you're not using it correctly.
Yes.
So you pretty much, in that one short statement, showed everything that's wrong with the coaching staff.
Yep.
Okay? A game
and
plan,
we're going to get to the coaching staff.
A game plan.
But not about the game.
A game plan, you look at what your strengths are and what their weaknesses are and how it all operates in a system that you are used to running.
Yeah.
You look at your personnel. You make sure the plan is also crafted towards their strengths and to mask their weaknesses.
Yep.
So a Bagent plan should look slightly different than a Justin Fields plan.
Yes.
And
maybe not even slightly.
Maybe not slightly. But I'm saying it's still a team system.
Correct.
Like blocking schemes and things like that are pretty much set. And that should be the type of stuff you do very routinely and easily. They don't have the right line out there.
So that's the other thing that I have a problem with is too often they're running up the middle. Like, this is not the Las Vegas Raiders. This is the Los Angeles Chargers. They were ranked 11th going into this game, and they have been steadily improving against the run leading up to this game.
And Lucas Patrick was a late addition to the injury report.
With a back injury.
With a back injury.
And then they still play him. And then he has these stupid mental mistakes.
And white hair, it's time.
I don't know.
It's time for Jatiri Carter.
I don't know when his birthday is,
Kramer.
But I think he might have turned 50 because that's how he looks out there right now.
That's why this is the Patrick Manley episode.
That's right.
All right, that was more game than I wanted.
How do we forget Manley?
So if we're not going to talk the game, what are we here to do, Rob?
So we're going to have some fun. And I hope you guys are sticking around. This is when it's going to get real fun. You guys can kind of play along at home.
Bears fans, fun. You haven't had much.
This is the only thing we have to look forward to, guys, because the season now is at 2-6. The chances of making the playoffs are very slim.
Playoffs?
I mean, if you think about it, had they won against Denver, right, 3-5, and then
had they won against
if they won
Vikings?
If they won against the Vikings, I mean, they could have been in it. They've just played stupid football. Okay, so we're gonna get off that train for a second there. We're gonna put on right now our Kevin Warren hats. Okay, last year, that's why we got matching stocking.
And then
caps.
when you tell me a new one, I'll just turn it.
So last year, December-ish.
I don't know what you're saying. When they hired him?
No.
Oh.
When we put on our Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham hat.
Correct.
Right?
A little earlier, maybe.
Maybe it's November. We basically went with what we thought we would do to finish out the season and then plan for the future.
Yeah.
We're going to do something similar here. We're going to look at big picture. Where is this team now? Where can it go? Who's going to be here? We're going to start with Kevin Warren because the first person that we need to talk about. Okay. Oh, before we get there, hit the subscribe button. Get entered in for a chance to win a free NFL Bears jersey. It doesn't matter who you pick. Okay. We will send it out to you free of charge on us. Okay. All you got to do is hit subscribe. What we're going to get into, though.
It could be a Patrick Manley jersey.
Could be. All right. We're going to start here. Ryan Poles. He's got to be the first one that we got to talk about. Kevin Warren. ×2. Are we firing Ryan Poles now or at the end of the season?
Those are our only two choices?
No. We're going to step through it. We're going to talk it out.
Okay. I'm not firing him now.
Okay.
By any means.
Me either. It would be stupid to fire a general manager in the middle of the season. I don't know if that's ever really been. Maybe Houston did once.
Yeah, but he's too early in his regime.
Yeah.
To do that.
So then
now.
At the end of the season,
but
are you going to?
So you and I are big time Ryan Poles supporters, defenders, whatever you want to call us.
Yes.
Part of what I like about him is he seems to have a plan that he's willing to stick to.
Correct.
But there are things about his plan that I am questioning. And coming into this season, the big question that they had to know an answer to is about Justin Fields, who we'll obviously be talking about. I'm not sure what they're doing right now with Justin Fields or what they even really have done with Justin Fields. And he wasn't their guy. And Ryan Poles doesn't seem to keep his guys. A lot of the people we're going to be talking about today are still Ryan Pace carryovers. And if you want to act like the only reason they're not having success is because of those few Ryan Pace carryovers, that's not it, man.
No.
The only one they've paid to stay is Kmet.
Yep.
And you like Kmet a lot. I was getting on board. I'm starting to just see that he's fine. He's okay. And you need to keep young players that are good and okay. But there are some people that they need better answers to, and I don't know where Ryan Poles is on some of that. He's on the hot seat going into next season, in my mind.
Okay.
But depending on some stuff that Kevin Warren might know about that you and I certainly don't.
Correct.
If he's as connected to Eberflus and others that are also should be out the door, then maybe you do just clean house, even including getting rid of Ryan Poles. Almost slipped.
So I'm gonna say one thing. I can see a situation where I would fire Ryan Poles, and it's if I was Kevin Warren, and like you said, he's heavily connected to Eberflus. I don't believe that personally. I think the only connection there was that they had the same agent in Trace Armstrong. I think they knew each other at one point because they had talked about it. They admitted to it, but I do not like, and I've always not liked the fact that they came to Ryan Poles with 3 names on a short list and said, here are the 3 guys we like. Basically pick one of these 3.
I've heard that that's not true.
Well, okay. So George McCaskey did say he didn't have to stick to the list, but I'm telling you right now, he had to stick to the damn list. Okay.
The first thing your bosses tell you.
Yeah. Come on. This is bullshit. So, okay. I'm okay. I'm going to ignore that part of the whole thing. If you're going to move on from Justin Fields and you're going to move on from Eberflus, and I'm Kevin Warren, so I know if what Ryan Poles really thinks of Eberflus, right? He's not going to personally say anything about it, but I'm going to guarantee you Kevin Warren knows.
Kevin Warren has to know the most in this whole organization, pretty much.
Correct. If he did choose him over anybody else, and you're getting rid of the quarterback, I'm okay with getting rid of the general manager. Starting completely, because we've never seen it. GM, coach, quarterback aligned. It just never seems to happen. So I'm okay with starting over. That being said,
and then go ahead.
I'm not doing it.
Okay. I think I'm in the same boat as you, but I could see and defend if Kevin Warren thought that was the way to go. Especially when you look at, I'm not going into what picks they'll be, but you're going to have 2 high first-round picks.
Oh, we're going to get there.
I know we will. I'm saying we're not going to get there in answering this.
Yes.
But you're going to have 2 high first-round picks. If you bring in a brand new GM and you say it's picks your coaching staff, pick your quarterback, pick your everything, that's as clean as you could ever have it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you better pick the GM before you start doing the goddamn head coach interviews.
Now start with O-line coach, I think. And then work
just randomly put a team together, a staff together.
All right, we're keeping him. But
I'm keeping him. And here's my one way of defending it. He said as soon as he got hired, everyone sticks to the we're going to take the North and never give it back phrase. There's more to it. He said, we're going to build through the draft.
Right.
We're going to do this right.
Yeah.
We're going to set ourselves up for success, and we're going to sustain it. Then we're going to take the North. Then we're not going to give it back.
Yes, agreed.
We're not there yet. It takes more time than I think. When you do a real rebuild, everyone wants this Jacksonville Jaguars quick turnaround.
Right.
That doesn't always happen. And if you look at Jacksonville, they're having some struggles this year. Yes, they're winning games, but they're still also struggling.
Yeah. Great points that you mentioned about building through the draft, building through the trenches. I think the only part of that I would question, and certainly it's what we're going to do with the remainder of this episode, is are there some moves that he has or hasn't made that don't align with that?
Mm-hmm.
Because trading guys like Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith is a difficult thing to do, but it fit with what he was talking about. It's what allowed them to acquire the draft capital to start building what he's saying he wants to do.
Yep.
But now you have some decisions on guys like Jaylon Johnson that also have to match that kind of statement and that kind of approach.
And he went against it with the Chase Claypool thing, right? Like, I understood the process. I still understand the process. But
what would Chase Claypool's experience have been if they didn't land DJ Moore? I know that's a huge what if, but at the time of that trade, you didn't know you were going to get a DJ Moore.
Right.
And now, I mean, Claypool still seems like he's kind of a poisonous person, personality-wise, but he would have been getting more of a number 1 treatment, or at least a number 1A with Mooney.
Correct.
That's not me excusing it, whatever, but at the time of that trade, you didn't know you were going to get a DJ Moore.
Correct.
it still probably would have not gone well,
No.
just seeing how things ended up going.
Yeah.
But okay. I think we spent too much time on polls.
Yeah. Well, this one's going to go real fast, I think. All right. Matt Eberflus. Are you firing
He's
him?
gone.
Okay.
Yes.
If you watched the South Park episode, he's gone. It's gone. And it's gone. The question is, are you firing him now or at the end of the season?
Honestly, I think they missed their mid-season firing.
Mm-hmm.
But are we going on another 10-game losing streak? I mean, you can't lose to Carolina.
No, you got Carolina.
But you're probably going to lose to the Saints.
Yes.
You're probably going to lose the Saints.
You're not stopping
You
Kamara.
should not lose to Carolina.
Which, by the way, is good for our fantasy team.
Right. You should not lose to Carolina, but it's a short week.
Yep.
They're not as bad as you might think.
Right.
They have every reason to want to win. So
yeah, they just won their one game. Though.
If you were to lose in an embarrassing way to Carolina, maybe you make that statement. But already they could have.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's definitely gone by season's end, I would say.
I am not keeping him, and I'll be pissed. Here, I wrote an article actually for Fansided, Bear Goggles On, literally stating Ryan Poles needs to make a decision if he hasn't made it already to fire Matt Eberflus, whether it's at the end of the year or now. That decision already better be made in his head. And if it's not as clear cut to him that he's gone as it is to us as fans, he also needs to be fired.
Exactly. Yep, and that's what I'm saying about Kevin Warren. If you're cool with what's going on, so much so that you're part of that,
right?
Then let's just bring everybody in.
All right, we can skip the rest of that because that's only if we weren't firing. If we weren't firing Eberflus, and maybe we wanted to get rid of like Luke Getsy maybe earlier. I mean, I guess that could still be talked about, but again, at this point, I don't really see why. So that brings us to the trade deadline. Okay, we talked about Jaylon Johnson a little bit in our last episode, but I think that's the hot one right now. There's rumors out there that San Francisco, Dallas, and Buffalo are interested. Ryan Poles has come out and said the whole nonsense again about, it takes two sides and it's got to be right fit for both and blah, 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 blah. Fans are all over the place with this. I've seen people say he doesn't deserve more than $12 million. I've seen most people come in around like 14, 15.
It's not a money thing.
I personally think he should be anywhere between 16 and 18. I think it is always a money thing to some degree. It's always a money thing
to some degree. But they have enough money, and you haven't signed
any of the right people. It's not a money thing for them, right? That's like saying that a billionaire can't go out and buy.
No. Here's what I mean. Look at the teams you just said want him.
Yeah. Oh, well, that tells you right there you shouldn't be trading him.
Look at the teams that want him.
All contenders.
Obviously, it's good. Contenders are going to want him. All contenders that have done it the right way, who you should be trying to emulate very soon. This guy is 24 years old.
I don't know about Dallas, but
well, no, but they're always in the mix.
Yeah,
more so than ever you could talk about this team.
Correct.
He's 24 years old and a veteran.
Yep,
and a good one.
Yep.
Now, what's your take on when they're doing the introductions on Sunday Night Football and they do PFF rankings?
I hate PFF grades, so I don't like PFF rankings.
Are they useless? Are they totally wrong?
Not useless. It's just a tool.
Okay, it's a tool. What do you think what do you think Jaylon Johnson was number out of 115?
Oh, I already know the answer to this.
What is
I
it?
believe if I'm recalling what I saw on social media, he is ranked number 1 with a 22 point something grade.
I don't know. Going into this game, because that's when they do the introduction, number 2 out of 115.
Okay.
Now, remember when last episode I said just off the top of my head I'd put him in the top 15 corners?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He's your number 1. He's damn good at what he's doing. He should fit any system you want to run. And it would show back to we're going to do this the right way. You have a young, talented person on your team. You have the cap space to do it at a premium position.
Yep.
You lock him up. It shows a sign of what you're doing. Pretty much anyone else on that list, well, I see one name that I think, no way. But everyone else on that list, okay, depending on your approach, no. Jaylon Johnson, you sign him, you keep him.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to get in return for him? A second rounder at best?
At best.
Right.
And that's a good return.
Very good return. He was a second rounder.
Exactly. A second
so you're resetting that clock, basically.
But
you're not guaranteed to hit on that second round.
A second's a maybe.
Correct.
This is
even definite. First rounders are sometimes maybes.
Yeah. And a second from those teams, by the way, is almost a third.
Correct. But he has been a shutdown corner. I know he doesn't have the takeaways. He's doubled his amount of interceptions in one game for his career, right? He's up to 3.
He pass interferes and doesn't get called for it. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
No, but those are the good corners.
Calls. Certain people don't.
Look at Tyree Stevenson.
He's not getting any of the calls.
No.
You have a guy who's established himself
as
a presence.
His only
Targets don't come
downside
his way.
His only downside is health. He's never played a full season, and he won't be again this year. So right there, it's pretty easy to me. $16 million puts him at number 10 in the league, not accounting for anyone else who gets signed in the offseason.
I was going to say, 5 minutes later, he'll be number 12.
Right? Like, if he's not accepting that, like, I'd even go as much to probably 17 and a half. And I think that is okay for him. I think he would accept that. I really do.
I mean, I agree with what you just said. I think he would. Now, if for some reason his camp is on a total, like, outpricing him, then I'm sure we would have heard something about that.
Right.
So, assuming that's not the case, you sign this guy.
Okay.
Sorry, we'll go through the rest quicker.
Real quick. Yannick Ngakoue is not on the top of that list. I know it says Eddie Jackson, but I just want to throw his name out there real quick. He's only got 2 sacks in the year. I don't think this has anything to do with him as a player. I think this is just a scheme issue. I think it's just some of it. It's a talent issue around him. If anyone called and offered you a 5th round pick for him, are you trading him? Or what?
Most likely, yes,
pick
unless there's any truth to the Bears going after a guy like Chase Young. Because I am curious how he would play across from Chase Young.
Yes.
But blanket, without factoring that in, I'm probably going to definitely consider it.
Let's quickly talk Chase Young. The rumor is that they want a 2nd round pick. I'm not giving a 2nd round pick.
Second's too much. A
for
3rd,
Chase Young.
it's happening.
But I'm wondering if they would take a 3rd from Chicago, because you have to think. Look at the teams that are going after Jaylon Johnson. They're contenders. Like you said, a 2nd round pick is more like a 3rd round pick for them. Well, a 3rd round is more like a 2nd round pick.
Agreed.
So I wonder if they would settle somewhere there.
Okay.
Maybe you throw in a late 5th or 6th, something like that.
So for a 3rd, but you have to know you're going to be able to re-sign him.
That has
How
to
does
be
that
key.
stuff work?
You can negotiate that through agents. I don't think that's a problem. So if you're getting him, you know you're re-signing him.
Okay.
He's also only 24 years old.
Exactly.
Having a really good year again. 5 sacks in 6 games.
His health is also something to be
His health is the concern. He's got bum knees. That's a lot worse to me than a bum shoulder. So I'd be willing to do it. But
it's hard to imagine them as buyers, but you're buying for your future.
Same as what was with Chase Claypool, but I do think in this regard, it's slightly different. And he doesn't have a work ethic issue.
Right.
Eddie Jackson, I don't know if he even has trade value with the foot injury, so we're just going to
He's been suiting up and then not playing.
Yeah, what is that?
Anyway.
Again, Matt Eberflus. Darnell Mooney, again, I don't think he has any trade value anymore.
I doubt he does.
5th,
I'm not anxious to trade him, and I'm not if the price is not great.
Right.
Now, Tevin Jenkins, I don't want to trade him at all, but I imagine he's one of the few players anyone would want.
Right. We're keeping him.
Okay. Yes.
All right, let's just move on.
It's a guy you build around.
Now for
When's our break?
Fields.
You're the one who would know naturally when the break is.
Yeah, we're gonna
trade deadline.
We're gonna take a break and come back and talk Justin Fields.
Ooh.
Not specifically maybe with these trades, but we're gonna come back and talk Justin Fields. Enjoy these ads, and then we're gonna rapid fire through some other stuff.
Sounds good. And we are back. Hallis Huddle here. I'm Justin Oniemi with Rob Schwarz. I won't go into a whole long thing because I'm sure the listeners are anxious to hear what we have plans for in terms of trade deadline and a very big potential target in Justin Fields.
Yeah, we have our Ryan Poles hats on.
Now we're going Ryan Poles hat. All right, let me see.
I guess technically we had him on for the other trade deadline players as well. But.
There we go. Looks the exact same. All right. So before you left, you had a slide up on the screen. You want to put that back up there for our viewers?
Yeah. So I don't like that one. Nope, don't like that one either. There we go.
You like that one?
I like that one.
Okay.
All right. So I threw these out. These slides were actually created. If you remember, we were going to do this episode, the What Would You Do episode last week, and then there was too much stuff going on with Tyson Bagent, so we scrapped it and kind of brought it back now. But But I do think that these could pertain. There are some teams out there that are in need of a quarterback. If you're Ryan Poles, are you considering trading Justin Fields? For example, Kirk Cousins' season is done in Minnesota. I know it's an interdivision trade. Are you willing to trade Justin Fields to Minnesota so that they can continue? They're at 4-4. They are in the hunt. They have Justin Jefferson coming back. Jordan Addison has looked like a beast. You got TJ Hawkinson. I know Justin Fields would like those weapons.
I know the Vikings would like that trade, but I don't think you trade him within your division. Because already, I think if you trade a player like Justin Fields with where this conversation has gone, there are two camps at that point of, I told you he wasn't very good if he doesn't succeed, or I told you he was going to be amazing if he got in the right system. You don't want that to be in your division.
Nope.
So no way to the Vikings. And for me, I'm not trading him right now. You have a couple days. You've literally, we're shooting this Monday night.
Yeah.
This will be released the day of the trade deadline. There's too much unknown to trade him, because trading him is basically saying we're starting over. Like, we're going to replace and try to get a franchise quarterback in here somehow, some way, whether that's the draft, a different trade, a veteran. But there's too much unknown now to do that. I think you need to know how you might replace him before you trade him.
I'm just making sure that there isn't any updates with trades going on right now because we're that close to the deadline.
That's true.
No, there's nothing.
But I could see why teams might want him. The injury would scare me. The uncertainty of, they don't even know if he's the guy. I mean, you see some tools that must make any, franchise, any GM, any offensive coordinator kind of excited. But there's also enough question marks that you're not like ready to fully commit and jump in, I would say, especially when you add the injury to his throwing hand.
Yeah. So there's some conspiracy theories going on right now. So Justin Fields was not put on injured reserve. Okay. He wasn't put on IR. The hope was he was week to week. And I think, we were told he wasn't having surgery. We thought there was a possibility he'd come back before those 4 weeks, right? 4 weeks would be, he's coming back for the Panthers game. If he is out all 4 weeks, he's coming back for the Lions game. If he could come back 1 week sooner, it would be for the Panthers game. But it's a short week. So the chances of that happening, probably not great. People are thinking he wasn't put on IR in case there was a trade available. People are thinking he wasn't put on IR because they've already used 6 out of their 8 injured reserve that can be designated return. That's probably the most likely situation.
Well, both are viable.
Sure.
He's one of your more attractive potential trade targets. Assets, yeah. Let's just say it that way. So to flat out rule him out of being able to be traded is a statement that I don't think they would have wanted to make, especially when you factor in running out of those slots.
Right.
So I don't think this is the time to trade him, if any, but definitely not now.
There's way too much season left. We just saw Carolina win. The Green Bay Packers guys lost. I think they're number 6 right now if they were to draft today. The Bears and the Packers play in the last game of the season. I did not bring this up. Kevin Kadick from CHGO brought this up, so I got to give him credit here. What if going into it, Green Bay loses that game, Chicago wins that meaningless game, they leapfrog them in the draft slot, and they get either Drake May or Caleb Williams, and then it just
to be Favre's and Rodgers, and then just forget about the Jordan Love year.
Yeah, the 1 year of Jordan Love. I mean, come on, that's like
it still won't go on the graphic. Like they showed the graphic with the Chargers.
Gosh, who's that? Who's their backup quarterback that played almost the whole season and then got
Hasselbeck?
No, and then ended up getting. He did go to Seattle.
Yeah. For who? The Packers?
Yes.
Oh, Meyer? No, that's the Bear.
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. I'm sure
between
Flynn, something.
Oh, Flynn, yeah.
Matt Flynn. Yes. He got like a $10 million contract and went to Seattle and this was like trash.
You're right.
In fact, was that when Russell Wilson
took over?
Took over right away, right?
As a 4th round rookie,
yes.
he beat out Flynn.
Yeah, so that would be a scary thought.
Oh my gosh. Now you put that in my head.
Right?
Oh boy.
Worst case scenario.
Best case, worst case. All right. So, no, I'm not trading Justin Fields. Okay. Not now, anyway. Off-season potential, maybe.
Okay. So, that puts us back to the what-if thing. We got to see how the rest of the season goes. I'm going to have some stats and stuff up here. We're going to kind of ignore a little bit. Basically, what these are going to be is the Panthers end up with the first pick in the overall draft. Somehow Chicago, because they play the Panthers, they play the Cardinals, they end up with the 5th pick in the draft. Are you at that point still keeping Justin Fields, or are you using that first round pick on one of the quarterbacks? We don't need to talk college football.
So are those games what he does in 5 more games this season?
Yes. Let's say he only gets to play 5 more games. I had worst case scenario. He was coming back. He's probably going to play like 7.
Okay. Maybe he misses more.
Maybe.
Okay, so
maybe.
in 5 more games, because basically, like we said, they had to answer the question, is he our future?
Correct.
You've seen what you've seen up to this point, which was a miserable first 3 games.
Yep.
A good 2 after that, and then he gets injured in his 6th game.
Yeah.
And then you add maybe these 5 to it. I would say those numbers plus what he's done doesn't scream to you that he is the answer.
Okay.
Which means that he isn't. And I've been a Justin Fields supporter. Even if they were to move on from him, I really like him and would want him to be successful. But with the fact that you land that number 1 overall pick, first overall pick, you have to say, this is our opportunity. So in that scenario, I say they draft Caleb Williams or whoever they believe is the best quarterback prospect.
Mm-hmm.
You get a solid player at 5, whether that be Marvin Harrison Jr., whether that be left tackle, and you, in that scenario, trade Justin Fields and maybe get, I don't know if you can get another number 1, but probably a number 2.
Probably a number 2. So here's where Justin and I are finally going to differ. I actually find that those stats are good enough for me to keep Justin Fields. Okay, they're not great. It's only 230 yards passing per game. It's not great. I'm going to keep Justin Fields with those numbers because what I'm going to do is trade that first overall pick, and I'm going to move hopefully down with the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm going to take their 2 first-round picks.
Okay. Interesting.
And then I'm going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. wherever I need to get him.
That's a good idea.
And I'm going to get Olu Fashanu or Joe Alt at my left tackle. I know I said I wasn't going to talk college, but those are my top 5 guys. So I'm going to take a left tackle, an MHJ, and then with that, I think right now they're picking 12 with their other first-round pick. I'm going to get a defensive lineman.
Okay.
And I find that builds my team up better.
Yeah.
And even if Justin Fields fails, because, guys, he's still under contract next year. I don't have to make a financial decision yet.
You don't even have to offer the 5th year.
I don't even have to offer their 5th year. Then I will.
No excuse tour.
Look, I love Caleb Williams. I've talked about him enough. I think Drake May is going to be a good quarterback. Let's not act like there's not always good quarterbacks coming out. If you're going to build up your roster and you don't find that Justin Fields is the guy, I'll take a shot next year.
So,
or I'll make a trade.
What you just described is potentially better than what I was positioning them to do. Now
I think though when we go to the next, let's go to the next.
I do think getting the 2nd overall pick kind of is interesting, by the way, because I think Caleb Williams is like, oh, he's number 1. Then you decide, do you want Derek May or anyone else who wants Derek May? What are you willing to give up?
Right. So in this case, same scenario, okay? But Tyson Bagent outplays Justin Fields.
What does that mean?
He
Fields is healthy.
He only plays 5 more games, so we still see Tyson Bagent
in his games.
Correct.
And those stats are miserable.
Tyson Bagent is the reason why.
Then you definitely do what I said.
Yes. See? Okay. See, Justin didn't know where I was going with these, so I couldn't lead him into the slide.
I couldn't tell how good those numbers were.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they were that great.
They weren't. 230 yards passing per game is not great.
It's not great.
You need to be 250-ish plus, right? In my opinion.
Okay.
To be great.
Okay. And it still was 2-3, and anyway. The 5 games that he'd be playing aren't great teams. No. Their schedule is pretty soft the rest of the way.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Now, we don't even get the first round pick. Okay.
First overall pick.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we don't get the first overall pick. So Caleb Williams, that massive trade haul that we saw with DJ Moore last year, that's not happening now.
Now I have an easy answer.
It's not happening.
Hearing what you said gave me an easy answer.
Justin Fields still played decent, and they go 2-3. It's the same stats. 230 yards. I think
these
it
are
comes
all
out to like,
these are all hypotheticals.
correct.
But I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
If they have 2 and 5, the only major difference is on the last slide they had 1 and 5.
Correct.
Who has 1?
Arizona.
Oh, it is Arizona.
Mhm.
Okay, because I was gonna say the same trade you just said.
Yep.
If
it's
Arizona's
gone.
3,
It's gone.
okay, interesting.
It's off the table.
All right. Well, it comes down to that question you asked. Has Fields shown us enough to let us run it back with him yet one more time with even more talent coming in on the true no excuses tour?
Right.
In this hypothetical, we're saying Caleb Williams is off the board and goes to the Cardinals.
So it's basically, are you
All
taking
right.
Drake May, trying to trade down slightly, not getting a big haul?
Yeah.
But you're still probably going to get a
You'll
future
get something
first.
good for that second.
You'll get a future first.
But you'll miss out on Marvin Harrison Jr. Is that what you're worried about?
It depends on how far you have to move down. Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. is falling to 5.
But would a team who has 3 or 4 feel like they have to trade up to 2 to get Drake May?
That's the thing. I
'Cause
don't
then-
know. You got Michael
So
Pittman.
anyway,
I mean,
There's some things to say, but the key is you want to end up with Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mhm.
and a top left tackle, and you keep Justin Fields.
So that's where so this
And
is
you
the,
could do that at 2 and 5.
and this
or
is the
you can
point
get more.
that I'm trying to make with these slides. And maybe I could, I steered you into the direction I wanted you to go.
Well, but
these are hypotheticals. I
you
think
have a
could
GM
happen.
and you have an assistant GM.
Right.
These are conversations. You try different.
But I mean, with my hypotheticals, I kind of steered you where I thought
Okay.
you might want to go. My point is getting Marvin Harrison Jr. and getting an
A
elite
huge haul.
left tackle
Yes.
and potentially a first-round pick next year.
And Fields made progress this season. If you look at his numbers now plus these, that's progress from what he did last year.
That builds up this team better
And you-
way more. Everyone keeps saying Caleb Williams is generational, right? Since Andrew Luck. Even if you don't believe he's generational, let's say he is the next Andrew Luck. What did the Colts ever do?
All right. Not building
Nothing.
on him enough.
Because the offensive line was trash.
Yes.
So
you're setting Fields up for a great future
Or another
the
kid.
next guy.
Yes.
Yes. I agree. Now, here's the thing. You pick Marvin Harrison Jr., you get a solid one of either the best or second best left tackle in the entire draft.
Yep.
You still have depth in Braxton Jones.
Yep.
He's
your swing tackle.
He's now your swing tackle. You're setting things up very, very nicely, and you're handing the keys to a brand new coaching staff that knows what the hell to do.
Yes, that's
that
the
type
other
of
key
offensive
to this
talent.
whole thing.
So, okay.
All right, this is going to, again, repetitive. Same thing.
I don't think that changes. So again, but that's why you don't trade him before the deadline.
Right.
Because knowing if you have 2 and 5, knowing if you have 1 and 5, knowing if you have 8 and 10.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if there's a scenario where that can happen, but
No, I think we talked about it in the last episode. You can win 7 games and still end up
Right.
with like a top 7 pick.
and you don't think either of those teams is getting to 7.
No.
5 maybe as a cap because they play each other too.
Yeah. 4?
That might be a tie.
I'm saying 4.
All right. So this one we don't even have to talk about.
No, that's
Same
that
approach.
was my last one.
But maybe you're bringing in a veteran because that's not off the table either, by the way.
Right. Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, he'll be a free agent. Coming off an Achilles.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I don't know if he would have been
Aaron Rodgers is already throwing. I mean,
but he went to probably went to that camp away or something and had some hallucinogenics or hallucinogens.
they probably just removed the Achilles, put in some like bionics.
I don't know. Him and Cousins strike me a little different, but
Yeah, a little bit.
interesting.
You like
what
that?
ifs. Interesting what ifs. This goes to what I said last week, though. I do think it's too early to have these conversations, but if you're the Bears front office, you have to be going through all these permutations in your head. And quite honestly, a lot of them look good
Yep.
for what the future can be.
Yeah.
But you got to make the right decisions. And all that in the backdrop of, we already have a number 1 corner.
Yep.
We already have
Yeah, because we kept Jaylon Johnson
Right.
in our scenario.
exactly.
Right. And I think Tyreek Stevenson has enough potential.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And Terrell Smith.
And now you're building, and you already have Kyler Gordon. And if Brisker can be healthy.
If only we had George Pickens, too, instead of Kyler Gordon. Sorry. I mean, injuries suck, but George Pickens is still winning that debate. Not going to give that one up.
No, I'm glad they have Darnell right.
Yeah, Darnell Wright looks like a beast, and I was against it, and
So that's
I
what I'm saying.
apologize.
That balances off of Pickens.
I apologize.
Doesn't that help?
Yes, very much so. And
imagine they quote unquote missed on that too. How
Right.
mad you would be.
Yeah.
Like,
well, if they took Jalen Carter, I wouldn't be that mad.
No. I get what you're saying there, but like, I don't know. We never really were saying this was a realistic option, but like Skronsky,
Yeah.
I think Wright's way better.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um,
But I also didn't like Skronsky.
That's what I'm saying. So I was just saying.
Yeah. But
who
some
else
people
could they have
did.
said?
Adam Hogue.
Got a cough there?
Yeah.
All right.
It's
well,
flu season.
New Orleans coming up next. Not thinking that's going to go
No.
well.
Not at all.
Then Carolina on a short week. And
Yeah.
honestly, if you lose to them, that's a very bad sign. And you're probably the one getting one or two.
They just outplayed Houston, who I had Houston beating Carolina in our betting. Well, thank you for not actually going through that.
But why do we ever go with the Bears?
But
That's got to stop.
I know.
That's got to stop.
I actually just heard today that they are like 3-7 against the spread when it's 7 points or more, and usually it's that they lose by double digit.
Yeah. Well, they haven't. When was the last time you think they were
I'm sorry,
favored
2
by
touchdowns
7 or more?
Yo, yeah, right. But I'm saying like even if it's like
3 seasons ago.
+3, right?
Oh yeah.
Or minus, yeah, no, +3. Like,
yeah,
they might cover those ones, but
yikes.
Yeah, this was never supposed to be the season they were going to do anything. It was always let's build for 2024. Polls came out and said this year, like we're at 75, 80%. Like that's how I know he's not going anywhere. Like this had to have been explained.
But there's
to McCaskey, to Warren. Like,
let me ask you any one more hypothetical, and we don't have a slide for it. Is there any scenario where Fields comes back next year and is your projected starter going into the season, but it's still Eberflus and Getty? Like they just run it back Chicago Bulls style?
Like I was gonna refer to the 2021 season for Chicago. At the end of the 2020, we thought for sure Pace and Nagy were gone.
Yeah.
And everyone was like,
they had their bags
what's
back.
the contract? Like everyone was asking, like, because it was all secret.
And they
like,
ran it
how
back,
many years?
but brought in a new quarterback.
Yeah.
That would be, we can't.
Again, that's why I said not lining up. If you're planning on doing that, no, please just start from scratch. And I love Ryan Poles because I don't agree with everything he's doing from an individual move standpoint. But you got to...
Fields has taken a step this year.
Yes.
Now imagine you're projecting another step, but with a new system. Learning a new system is not easy.
No.
But you feel like, hey, these are the people that are going to get what they need to get out of him, and you've given him better weapons, better tools. That's a possible way to play this.
We didn't talk about it, but bring in Jim Harbaugh to oversee everything and find yourself
about him enough.
And find yourself the next Ben Johnson. Find yourself the next Waldron out of Seattle. Find yourself the next Kellen Moore out of Chargers. Like these are proven guys.
Well, and I trust a guy like Harbaugh to find that more than I trust Eberflus to do that.
Yeah, and I don't want Harbaugh running the offense.
No, I know what you mean. So okay.
All right. What would you do? Let us know in the comments. We love the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get yourself entered in for that jersey. I know we keep talking about it, but we got to get to 750 because we kind of hit a little lull here, but and I think it's partly because people are just kind of checking out on the Bears altogether. I think we are kind of checking out on the Bears altogether, but there are always positives. It's the NFL. It's called NFL for not for long. Mm-hmm. And, we're seeing the Chiefs struggle at times. I know it took the flu for Mahomes to look like pedestrian, but
I think as a fan, you watch in the short term to see if they can be competitive within a game.
Yeah.
And they're starting to show you that's not happening.
No.
And that's getting kind of hard to watch, which is why I'm like, hey, let's infuse things. Go ahead and play Kramer, play Carter. That's not tanking. That's seeing what you have out of young guys and veterans playing in front of them who aren't producing.
Yep.
But the other thing you look for is the big picture plan to be a perennial contender. Mm-hmm. And as Chicago fans, we have not been treated to that since the 90s.
Yeah.
A little bit in the 2000s with Lovey.
Yeah.
It's time. That's build to eventually take over the North and never give it back. We want to see that. That's what this episode was about. So
I think we won. I think we could do it. you know,
Give us a
if
chance.
you do fire Ryan polls, I'm putting my name and Justin can be. We can be.
You can be
manager.
I'll be assistant.
I mean, it doesn't. No. Honestly, like you, I don't want to put this out there, but you being a
complete me.
minority,
Oh.
like helps us, right? So
Yeah,
let's go
Kevin
that
Warren,
regard.
you'll get our resume
Yeah.
in the mail.
Like I feel like
snail mail.
Yeah,
that's how we operate. We'll fax it. I'm dating myself here.
Oh, he probably does like facts. Yeah, that's the end of this episode.
A fax reference. All right. It was a good Patrick Manley episode. I had to say his name a few extra times because I'm so ashamed that we overlooked him.
We won't let it happen again.
Not on episode 165.
That's right.
All right, man.
Bear down.
Bear down.